Now for this hour, we start with Venezuelan president. Toppled Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro has pleaded not guilty to narcotics charges at the Manhattan Federal Court in New York. Maduro has pleaded innocent in New York federal court to 4 criminal counts: narcoterrorism, cocaine importation conspiracy, and possession of machine guns and destructive devices. Maduro has also told the judge that he was kidnapped by U.S. forces during the operation on 3rd January. He stated through a translator that he is a decent man and still the rightful president of Venezuela. The ousted leader protested his capture, calling himself a prisoner of war while leaving the court. Prosecutors say Maduro has been involved in drug trafficking from the time he began serving in Venezuela's National Assembly in 2000 to his tenure as foreign minister and subsequent 2013 election as the late President Hugo Chávez's successor. Lawyers for both Maduro and Flores have stated that they would not seek bail for the defendants at this time. The judge has ordered them to remain in federal custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and the next court appearance for the case has been scheduled for 17 March of this year. The U.S. operation has triggered intense international debate, with countries like China, Russia condemning the capture. President Donald Trump has stated the U.S. is now in charge of South American nation. However, experts in international law have questions the legality of the raid, with some condemning Trump's actions as a repudiation of rules-based international order. Meanwhile, the United Nations has expressed concerns over the respect for international law during the military action. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Matthew Vadam. He's an American journalist, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Mr. Vadam, for joining us once again. Good to see you. Now
Hi there.
Hi. Now looking at this, what more can you share with us on this latest stuff from Maduro pleading not guilty?
Well, he's entered a plea of not guilty. I think his wife also entered a plea of not guilty. I said on your TV network about 11 hours ago that I didn't think they'd arraign him immediately, but I guess I was wrong. They must be in a hurry. They arraigned him, which meant they asked him to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and he pled not guilty, and he protested that he is still the lawful president of Venezuela. And now they move on to the next phase. The next hearing will be March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And they're between now and then, Maduro and his legal team, whoever that may be, have to start putting together a case so they can argue for his acquittal. And the U.S. government, the U.S. Department of Justice, has to hand over or disclose all of the evidence that the prosecution has against Maduro to give him a fair opportunity to defend himself in court. So that is what's going to be happening over the next few weeks. I think you said he's being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center. That's where a lot of federal prisoners are held in New York City, and that is, I think, where Jeffrey Epstein, the sex offender who died in federal custody a few years ago, was also held in custody by the federal government. Just an interesting bit of trivia there.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And so what happens next? Of another country's sovereign nation's leader is being charged this in U.S. What do you think would happen if he's pleaded guilty, and what do you think could happen if he's not pleaded guilty? Both cases.
Well, if he'd entered a guilty plea, then I don't think he would have done so without having a plea bargaining agreement. Having a deal with the prosecution. So presumably he didn't have a deal with the prosecution, or he didn't have a proposed plea bargain that was acceptable to him. So now they move on with a trial, and there's still an opportunity for a plea bargain later on. I keep seeing rumors on the internet, I don't know if they're true, that that Nicolas Maduro knows something about election fraud in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. I don't know if it's true, and that he's going to cooperate with authorities. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. But if he does have information that's useful to the Trump administration, now would be the time that he would cut a deal to release it. I kind of doubt that he does, and so probably what's going to happen is the two sides will exchange documents as necessary, and the U.S. criminal justice system will move forward with all the other steps that have to be taken along the way. Um, I'm not sure if he indicated that he wants a trial before a judge alone, which is called a bench trial, or if he wants a trial before a jury. Almost certainly he would want one in front of a jury because he'd want to be able to try to sway 12 Americans from New York who might be more sympathetic to his case than people in other parts of the country, given their political leanings and their general distaste for President Donald Trump. So presumably Maduro is going to ask for a jury trial when the question arises. I'm not sure if he has to decide immediately, though, how his defense team is going to handle it.
Right. Do you have any idea about what his wife is charged for, and will she be showing up to this U.S. court as well?
It's my understanding she did appear in court already. She's in U.S. custody, and that, as far as I know, she also entered a not guilty plea. So she is accused, I think, of being a conspirator, of being a collaborator with Maduro. So, as far as I know, she's charged with, she's charged with some of the same crimes, but he's the real ringleader. He's the one that the United States wants to prosecute and convict. I'm not sure the extent to which Mrs. Maduro was involved in the alleged crimes of narco trafficking.